Rovaniemi was always quiet in March. Snow still blanketed the edges of the town, though the river had started to crack open, letting the ice speak in soft groans beneath the surface. Lotta walked the familiar path near the Kemiaki River, her boots crunching through melting snow. The scent of pine and firewood still lingered, but something else hung heavier in the air. Emptiness. It had been 3 years since Emilia vanished. Their last memory together lived like a photograph in Lotta's mind. The two of them sitting in Café Ada, mugs of steaming cocoa in hand, whispering dreams about leaving town together someday. Emilia's laughter had echoed off the timber walls like a promise. But the next morning, she was gone. No note. No call. No goodbye. Lotta had searched. She'd called Emilia's parents, scoured her social media, even visited her apartment in Aunisvara. All she found was a silent flat and a landlord who said the lease had been terminated. The walls were as empty as the questions burning in her chest. Now, as Lotta sat on the same cafe bench they once shared, the echoes returned. The memory played itself again, and again like a broken record. She could almost hear Emilia's voice teasing her, could almost believe she'd walk through the cafe door and laugh at how dramatic all this had become. But reality had long replaced hope. Lotta's phone buzzed. A message from Elias. Any sign yet? She stared at it before replying. Nothing. The same word. Every week. Every search. Nothing. But Lotta couldn't shake it. The way Emilia had left was wrong. Not like someone running from a town. More like someone running from something else. Something darker. As she left the cafe, a strange chill passed through her. Not the cold, but a presence. Like something forgotten was reaching out from beneath the snow. Behind her, a girl in a wool coat watched from across the street. Eyes locked. A flicker of recognition. Then gone. Lotta froze. Was it her? Could it be? A shadow of a face. Familiar but distant. The snow began to fall again. The girl across the street had vanished into the thinning crowd, her coat blending into the slate-gray surroundings. Lotta darted outside, her heart racing. Snowflakes swirled as she scanned every corner, every face. Gone. It could not have been Emilia. Could it? For the first time in years, doubt wove itself through the sorrow. Not the kind that brought closure, but the sort that reopened old wounds. That evening, Lotta walked through the old forest trail they used to take after school. The air was still, and the pine trees stood like silent witnesses to a time when laughter echoed between their trunks. She stopped at the clearing where they once buried a glass jar filled with letters, wishes they swore to fulfill. Kneeling down, she scraped away the soft soil and snow. The jar was gone. She stared at the empty patch of earth, her breath fogging in the fading light. Had someone else found it? Or had Emilia returned? She pulled out her phone and dialed Elias. "Are you free tonight?" she asked, her voice quieter than usual. "Always." "Where are we going?" "To the archives. I need to check something." "The town archives? What are we looking for?" "People who disappear. And people who come back." The Rovaniemi town archives were tucked behind the old city hall, a warm relic of history with the scent of aging paper and wood polish. Lotta had spent little time there before Emilia's disappearance. Now, it had become a place of quiet obsession. Elias met her by the front steps, eyebrows raised. "This better not turn into one of your midnight theory sessions," he teased. But her expression shut him up quickly. Inside, they combed through digital records, press clippings, and scanned police reports. Lotta focused on any mention of sudden disappearances, unsolved cases, or people who left without trace. "Look at this," she whispered. An article from 8 years ago. A girl named Alina Koskinen had vanished from the same apartment block Emilia once lived in. No signs of forced entry. No suspects. The case had been closed quietly after 2 months. Another article. A boy named Yari Ham. Gone. Same neighborhood. That's 3 people from the same area, same building, all gone within the last decade, Lotta murmured. And no one ever talked about it. Elias leaned back in his chair. "Do you think it's connected?" "I don't know. But Emilia's disappearance wasn't random. I feel it." Just as they were about to leave, Lotta spotted a visitor log from the archives. One entry. From 2 days ago. Name: Amelia Salonen. She stared at the screen, heart pounding. The handwriting was hers. The next morning, Lotta stood in front of the old apartment building on Cascacata Street. It looked the same as she remembered: weathered bricks, steel balconies, silent windows. The place where Amelia had once lived. The place she had vanished from. Inside, the air was stale and thick with history. Lotta rang the bell for flat number 5C. No answer. She tried the door. To her surprise, it creaked open. The room was empty. Mostly. A coat still hung behind the door. A red scarf lay folded on the chair. A book, Amelia's favorite, the one she used to carry everywhere, rested on the windowsill. Lotta's breath caught in her throat. She stepped closer. Something was scratched into the wooden table. It was never just me. She took a photo and backed out slowly, the silence pressing in like a weight. That night, she sat with Elias in her kitchen, staring at the message. Maybe she didn't leave because she wanted to, he said. Or maybe she did to protect us. Outside, the wind howled against the glass. The northern lights shimmered faintly above the forest line. But for the first time, Lotta felt something darker moving beneath the beauty. They returned to the archives the next day, this time searching for photos, security footage, anything that might show Amelia's return to town. Elias pulled out a file labeled Community Event, January 2025. Inside were candid photos from a winter fair. Lotta froze. One image, half-blurred and poorly lit, showed a figure at the edge of the frame. A young woman with long hair, wearing a red scarf. The same scarf she saw in the apartment. That's her, Lotta whispered. Another photo. Same fair, same scarf. This time, the figure was turned away, but standing in front of the old fire tower at the edge of the forest. Why would she be there? Elias asked. I don't know, but we're going tonight. The fire tower had long been abandoned. A wooden relic overlooking the trees, built decades ago for spotting wildfires. Now it was just a story children told each other. A place where secrets echoed. As they approached that night, the snow crunched beneath their boots. The tower stood tall and silent. And then the faint sound. Footsteps above. They climbed the tower, each creaking step louder than the last. The lantern Lotta carried flickered, casting long shadows across the wooden walls. When they reached the top platform, it was empty. Almost. A scarf fluttered from the railing, pinned by a rusted nail. It was Amelia's. Lotta reached out to grab it, when a voice broke the silence behind them. You shouldn't be here. They spun around. A man stood at the stairs. Mid-30s, thin, wearing a heavy coat. His face was pale, eyes sunken. I saw you at the archives, Lotta said. He nodded slowly. You're looking for her. You know where she is? No one ever really leaves. Not here. They just change. What do you mean? Elias asked, voice sharp. The man stepped forward. Amelia wasn't the first. She won't be the last. The town hides what it can't explain. Before they could speak again, he turned and disappeared down the stairs. They chased him out into the snow. But he was gone. Vanished. Haunted by the encounter, Lotta returned home and tore through her childhood bedroom. She remembered Amelia once hid letters under the floorboards during sleepovers. Notes they wrote to their future selves. She pried open the wooden slats beneath the rug. There they were. Most were silly and harmless. But one was different. It was in Amelia's handwriting, dated 1 week before her disappearance. If I go, don't come looking. It's not safe. They see everything. The forest holds them. The tower watches. I'm trying to stop it, but if you follow me, you'll see too. Lotta's hand trembled as she read it aloud to Elias. She knew something, Elias said. Something she wasn't supposed to. And now she's back. Or trapped. They sat in silence, the weight of the truth pressing down on them. Tomorrow they would go to the forest. The forest near Rovaniemi was thick and silent, the kind of silence that felt alive. Lotta and Elias followed the trail past the fire tower, deeper than they had ever gone before. The trees seemed to lean inwards, as if listening. They came to a clearing marked only by a single, ancient pine. Its trunk was carved with strange symbols. Beneath it, the snow had been disturbed recently. A makeshift shelter stood hidden behind branches. Inside, there were notebooks, candles, food wrappers, and photos. Photos of Lotta, of Elias, of Emilia, all taken recently. "She's been watching us," Elias said. Then came the voice. "Because I had to." They turned. Emilia stood at the edge of the trees, pale, thinner, but unmistakably her. Lotta stepped forward, tears in her eyes. "Why?" But Emilia shook her head. "You have no idea what you've done." They sat by the frozen fire pit. Emilia looked older somehow, like the years had aged her differently. "I tried to leave," she said. "But something followed. Something ancient. It lives in this forest. It watches from the tower. It feeds on people who are forgotten. The moment I tried to break free, it turned its gaze on those I cared about." "So you disappeared?" Elias asked. "I thought it would protect you. But when you came back to the apartment, it woke again. It knows you're looking." Lotta stared at her. "We need to leave." "We can't," Emilia said. "Not until it's seen. That's how it breaks its hold." "Seen by who?" "Everyone." The sky was dark above Rovaniemi. The aurora shimmered, casting green light over the snow. Emilia led them back to the tower one last time. At the top, they waited. "This is where it reveals itself," she whispered. Time passed. Then the wind died. The forest grew still. And in the trees, a shape emerged. Not human. Not animal. Eyes like hollow stars. Lotta wanted to run. But Emilia took her hand. "It needs to be named. Speak its name." "I don't know it," Lotta said. But Emilia did. And when she whispered it, the creature paused. Watched. Then vanished into smoke. Gone. Forever. Or so they hoped.